they deserve it. They have been brilliant for their various clubs.
How about they
deserve it. They have been brilliant for their various clubs.
How about the exclusion of one more time Andre Dede Ayew, who many think that has been in fine form for Le Havre? What do you think? He still doesn't deserve to be called into the national team? Are these players called better than Dede Ayew, especially in that role? Yeah.
Experience-wise, I think that we always want to talk about Andre. But I have always said that, having watched the AFCON 2023 in Ivory Coast, I think that, listen, that's the end of the road. Clearly, that was the end of the road for Andre. And personally, as I sit here, the last 3 press conferences that Otuado has held, I've been there twice, and I've deliberately asked him the question about Andre, and he has always tried to find a diplomatic way to answer those questions. And I have always drawn my conclusion that, having watched those games in Ivory Coast, that was the end of the road. But I believe that he was trying to find a more respectful way to address those issues. If you remember, ahead of the games against Mali and the Central African Republic, he made mention that he flew all the way to France just to have talks with Andre, to explain some few things to him. And so for me, that was the first thing that after he made mention of that, I concluded by saying that, listen, that's the end of the road. And I was not even expecting him to even tell me that. From the performance in Ivory Coast, I thought it's over for him. And I think that he has achieved so much for the country. He's been there for the country ever since that he earned his debut for the country. I mean, achieving over 120 caps. I mean, he's done his bit. But Berko, you look at his current performance with Le Havre, whether he deserves, whether he should have been there or not. I don't think that we need Andre. I think that we need to move on. Yeah, experience-wise, you might count on him and all that, but I believe that where we are now, we need to build on something else different. We need to give people, different players, opportunities and room to also come and exhibit what they have. Because, I mean, good players have always retired from their national teams. Yes, players will always try to give their best, but if it doesn't work, respectively, they have to bow. And for me, I think that Otuado has, even though he has not said it anywhere, that Andre is not coming back. But some of the decisions and some of the players that he's calling up, clearly tells me that there's no way.
No plans
Andre is coming back to this team.
All right. Still live here on Team Talk. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about African football and Patrick Motsepe, and talk about Keto Kreku's elevation onto the CAF Executive Committee and what that means for Ghana and then Africa. And then we'll also look at the okay. Yes, we are done with Formula 1. We'll talk about the disallowed penalty.
Yeah,
we'll touch on that briefly, and the fact that UEFA wants to engage IFAB and FIFA on maybe reviewing the penalty rules and all of that. We'll get into those conversations before we wrap things up here on Asaase 99.5. And I told you earlier that at the Accra Sports Stadium, the floodlights, are rusting away.
I want to read something to you, something that I'm picking up.
And it doesn't look too good. Yaw Ampofo Ankrah and a team are there. A team from the NSA are there. From a team from the NSA and the Sports Ministry working tirelessly to immediately fix or replace those rusted metals. 48 hours.
It's crazy.
To allow for the first training session of the Black Stars on Monday evening. We'll return from this quick break. We're off to Cameroon, where we'll be joined by an African football expert who will talk to us about the impact of Patrick Motsepe on African football. Stay on.
Asaase Sports in 60. Fast-paced, major stories, breaking news, and all sports updates in 60 seconds. Sports in 60 is daily on Asaase Cafe at 10 past 11 and a rush hour at 10 past 3. Fresh, brief, Accurate and hottest sports news in 60 seconds. That's Sports in 60 Seconds on Asaase Cafe and the Rush Hour, 10 past 11 and 10 past 3 p.m. respectively. Asaase Radio, the voice of our land.
Did you know that chronic kidney disease is a condition in which the kidneys are damaged and cannot filter blood as well as they should? Did you know that because of this, excess fluid and waste from your blood remains in the body and may cause other health problems such as heart disease and stroke? Did you know that roughly 13.3% of adults in Ghana are estimated to have chronic kidney disease? That's about 2.5 million people. Don't leave it too late. Start taking care of your kidneys today. This is a public service announcement brought to you by the Asaase Foundation in collaboration with Asaase Radio and the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Beautiful Minds. Beautiful Minds is fully loaded with inspiration. Don't miss out. Tune into Beautiful Minds on Asaase 99.5 Accra every Monday at 8 p.m. for empowering conversations, heartwarming topics, journey of self-discovery, growth, and resilience. Join our social media community. Follow Asaase 99.5 Accra on social media, engage in conversations, and share your experiences. Together, let's prioritize mental health. Beautiful Minds. Empowering minds, fostering resilience. Tune into Asaase 99.5 Accra every Monday at 8 p.m. with Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur, a medical doctor and clinical psychologist, to get a positive impact. Asaase, the voice of our land.
Artsy. Artistic, relevant, thought-provoking showbiz discussion just for you. Only on Asaase Radio. Don't miss out.
Artsy on Asaase Radio nationwide every Saturday from 1 p.m. with Diego. Get interactive. #Artsy. #Asaase Entertainment. Artsy. Arts. Culture. Entertainment.
My duty is to make sure that there are leadership immediately now who can continue with the work of CAF and continue with developing and growing football, because for us it's a legacy issue. It's, we are so honored that we are part of this legacy. There's a revolution taking place in African football. And we are honored and privileged to be part of that revolution. And part of the revolution is in the results. Is Morocco in the semi-finals of the World Cup with all of the nations in the world? Is the AFCON in Côte d'Ivoire being watched by 180 nations? It has never happened. It's prize money that is being given to the players and to the teams that are winning. It is 2.2 billion digital views. Approximately 1.5 billion people watching African football. We will continue doing well and we will continue making progress, because we have to consistently set new targets, set new goals, set new objectives, and continue to make progress. So the talent is there, but we must just keep investing. The real benefits of what we are doing, the significant benefits, will only be realized over time. And so we recognize that there are certain things we have to do now to encourage everybody to see the progress and to double the money, the allowances, the contributions, the financial contributions that CAF gives to every member association. It's something that is significant, and particularly the poorer nations and the poorer football associations are very excited about that, to significantly increase the prize money for all of the competitions, for women, for youth, for the Champions League, for the AFCON, and also to emphasize that we want a substantial amount of that prize money to find its way to the pockets of the players and to the pockets of the coaches, because we want to consistently allow football players to have a good future and make a good living out of football. But good work has been done, good work is being done, and there's a recognition that we have to continue along the path that...
Right, so that's CAF President Patrick Motsepe, who has been re-elected this time. Africa's 9th richest man went unopposed in his bid to extend his reign as the leader of African football. It was confirmed at the 14th Extraordinary General Assembly on Wednesday in Cairo. And so he's going to lead CAF for another 4 years. How has he steered African football so far? And can we be proud of this man? Now, for Keto Kreku, hundreds of supporters welcomed him at the Kotoka International Airport yesterday. And because he's joined an exclusive class of 6 Ghanaians who have served on the most powerful committee of Africa's football governing body, the late Ohinijan Kobina Hagen, Nana Fredia Mensah, Samuel Ochiri, and Kwesi Nyantechi, the other members of this enviable group. And Kurt has acknowledged the advice and support from former FA boss Kwesi Nyantechi following his election onto the CAF Executive Committee. But first off, let's get on to our Zoom link and attempt to speak to African football journalist, editor-in-chief, senior sports editor of Cameroon Radio in Cameroon. And he's joined us. Simon Lyonga has joined us. Good afternoon, Simon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Good to have you here in Ghana and on Asaase Radio.
Thank you and welcome to Cameroon.
Good to be there. Right now, we are talking about the impact, the influence of CAF President Patrick Motsepe on African football since he took charge. That has culminated in his re-election on Wednesday. Now, from the other African football nations, what do you make of Patrick Motsepe's administration thus far?
Well, thanks very much for asking my opinion. I would have to say that my reaction is going to be double-sided. I have a two-edged sword that is dangling as the Damocles sword over the management of CAF by Patrick Motsepe. The first thing is his management cannot be best without him having, let's say, even a semi-permanent residence in Cairo. He's left everything in the hands of the Secretary General, who makes the sun, the moon, and the daytime out in a CAF. But that is okay. Let's look at Mr. Motsepe's promise for CAF before he got in. He said the title of, let me say, his campaign was the growth and success of African football. The growth and success of African football, especially financially. You cannot come into an association that was having a green tag when it comes to the coffers of the association, and you end up leaving the association after your first 4 terms with a red tag on the coffers. That is something that is not very good. You remember after CAF cancelled the broadcast contract with Lagardère, it made them to lose so much. And the management of CAF this far, many people think has dropped down the line. Some of us from Cameroon do not always like to contribute on this topic because people always accuse us of being too pro Issa Hayatou, who was like the last man standing when it comes to the management of CAF. Since he was a Cameroonian, people think we are still that nostalgic about his management. But when we look at it on the ground, you discover that there's so much that has gone far behind instead of moving ahead after the man left. the late man left. Under Ahmad, it was even catastrophic. And when Motsepe came in, we were expected, people were like, okay, he's a very rich guy. He's going to pump so much money into CAF from his own pockets. That we have not seen. So many, let me say, contracts that turned out to be white elephants and so on and so forth. But I like, as a football commentator, I like to talk more about the game on the field instead of management, because with the management of CAF today, we have the impression CAF is just one of a department in FIFA. You can agree with me, Silky, that there is no CAF event in Africa without the presence of Gianni Infantino. The other day, I remember a former
Simon, is that not a positive sign? To have the
why should that be that positive sign only before Africa? How many times have you seen Mr. Infantino jointly handing over the trophy of the UEFA in the Champions League in Europe? How many times has he done so in CONCACAF or the Central African sub-region with the Copa America? How many times has he done that with Asia? Why only Africa? Why must he be even in sub-regional meetings? His presence is overbearing in Africa. And don't forget, we were still talking about management, because we mean management is one side and the game on the field is another. When we still talk about management, look at how the FAs are complaining. The FAs say the FIFA administrative sledgehammer is heavier on Africa than in all other continents. Why is it like that? Whatever problems there is or internal problems in Africa, the next thing FIFA is sanctioning. The next thing, the FA is running to FIFA. How many times have you heard FIFA sanctioning a team in Europe? Look at the World Cup in South Africa. After France had the difficult participation and so on, they went to France. The President of the Republic called them to his presidency and gave instructions to the French Football Federation on what to be done, and that was done. Why did they not complain of government interference and sanction? But do that in Africa. Before you know it, even a cleaner in FIFA is going to sanction you. Now, that is on the side of management. On the side of football, the game itself on the field, I want to think that much still remains to be done, though much has been done. I was in Cote d'Ivoire last time for the AFCON, and I saw the improvement in the organization of the game, and I was very impressed. Really, I was impressed. Much has improved when it comes to organization of the AFCON, but would like that to show itself also in the other age competitions. The women's AFCON. When was the last time we had the women's AFCON? That was in Ghana, remember? Since then, where are we with the women's AFCON? It's going down the drains. Now we're talking about the under-17 AFCON, the under-20 AFCON. Yes, I'm going to talk about the effects of the COVID era, but that's far gone. And since then, what has happened? Nothing. So we are more interested in the school competition, which is the brainchild of the present CAF administration. But what impact is that going to have on African football? We're already 2 years old into that, or 3 years, but we've not seen any impact. So what is the school sports competition doing to Africa? Those are some of the questions that if we answer, and answer honestly, we're going to have the best management of CAF over the years. Is it okay?
Right. But one would ask, if Patrick Motsepe has not done well, how did he go unopposed? And with the plans that he has, with the plans that he has, for the Confederation, could that not be the key?
I know that is a rhetoric question. Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So, tell me, he ran unopposed. What it means is that the football people are excited about him and the plans he has.
If elections into CAF were a popular elections, like let's say the presidential elections in Ghana or in Cameroon, would have said the people are excited. But elections in CAF is left for a handful of people, especially those at the executive committee. So it ends at that level. We all know how the management of football is done, not only in Africa, but worldwide. Do you think Gianni Infantino was re-elected because he's so much loved by the football world? No. It's because they know how to do electioneering amongst those who are the voters. And those who are the voters, honestly, do not represent the minds of the people. Do you think Kurt Akraku is like, let's say he represents the minds of the people of Ghana? Do you think Samuel Eto'o is a unanimous candidate for the football-loving population of Cameroon? No, I don't think so. But they are the ones who do the electioneering, and they're the ones who work with the General Assembly to make sure that a member or a standing official is re-elected. Let me tell you, Siliki, you know that before Motsepe was elected for the first time, how many candidates were standing? There were so many proposed candidates.
Yeah.
But you also what happened? So many of them were sidelined for one reason or the other, simply because they wanted a unique candidate. They went and saw presidents of republics, in heads of state in Africa, to call on some of the candidates to either stand down or accept other positions. Remember, Augustin Senghor of Senegal was a candidate for the presidency. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Remember, there was Kwesi Appiah from Ghana, who was seen as a possible candidate.
That's Kwesi Nyantechi.
I, Simon, would have gone for Appiah.
Nyantechi. It's Kwesi Nyantechi.
Sorry, Kwesi Nyantechi. Sorry. Appiah was the player, the football.
The coach.
Now, I would have gone for Kwesi because we saw the rise of a good football administrator. But you remember the scandal that came out because of him. And after that, he was sent off. He could not be a candidate anymore. Today, they are saying they don't have enough proof to show that Kwesi was a bad guy. Augustin Senghor was talked into stepping down, and he accepted the post of first vice president, and so on and so forth. There is Jacques Anoma from Côte d'Ivoire, who was outstanding as one of those, let me say, those men of the Issa Hayatou team that could still stand up and maybe stand face to face with FIFA. And FIFA did not like such a person, because with the Issa Hayatou team, what is happening to CAF and the AFCON today could not have happened. Remember, Silike, AFCON is Africa's flagship football competition.
Sure.
Nobody can argue that. That is our top tier competition.
But not respected by Jimmy Carragher.
How can we? It was not respected by Jimmy Carragher, but it cannot be respected if we ourselves do not give so much impetus and power to that competition. How can you imagine that competition will be played across the Christmas and the New Year in December? Simply because we could not stand the heat of FIFA struggling to program the Club World Cup in June and July, where the AFCON was originally programmed. Why did we move our competition? Such things could not happen under the Hayatou era. They couldn't.
Right. Well,
these are some of the problems why I think the present management of CAF has a serious problem. They should leave their weakling position, get to real strong positions, do the lobbying with those who, the football policy makers in the world, and maybe get their position. If not, we are going to remain forever where we are. We can't be moving our competitions like that. If you look at the next 2-3 editions of the Euro, they already know where they're going to take place. Then we already know that 2030 is going to be in England, and we already know the stadiums that are going to host 2030. So can you tell us the country that's going to host the AFCON after Morocco?
Simon, thank you very much. But I saw this post on your wall. What were you seeking to put across with the issue of the national team that used to be consumed like opium having become an article of division with wishes depending on what side one belongs? What were you putting across? What's the problem with Cameroonian football?
I'm going to send you the bill for getting to my post. Now, the problem with Cameroon is that many people had lost so much confidence in normal politics. That's politics for politicians. And the country has been so much divided. But there is only one political party, in quotes, that always brought Cameroonians together. And that political party is the national football team of Cameroon. Whenever Cameroon was playing, every other Cameroonian left aside what they were doing to watch the national team. And whenever there was victory, the pulse of the nation was faster. And whenever there was defeat, you could feel it. Even in bars, pubs, people could not even drink beer because the national team of Cameroon has lost. But since the coming of the present administration, things have changed. So much has changed, my brother. You have
why? What has brought these changes?
That's exactly what I'm trying to explain.
Okay.
Since the coming of Samuel Eto'o, there are so many people who supported him in the start and who are falling off the hook. So many people supported him not because they thought his program was good, but because they were starstruck. Many people were like, okay, it's time for a footballer to take over Cameroon's football and bring in better programs and make the game better. But 4 years or close to 4 years down the line, nothing has changed. On the contrary, so much has gone backwards. So most of his following is now against him. And so on social media in Cameroon, you have two sides of the same coin, and it has been transferred to the stadium or to the field. You go to the field in our vantage positions as reporters when we stand there, we see how people react, and we see the way they talk on social media. There are so many people who today go to the field and pray for Cameroon to lose a game just because they want to use that defeat against the administration of the federation. And there are some who are praying that the team should win, not because they love that team so much, but because they want to use that victory as campaign propaganda for the administration that is on board. That is the problem. And so football that used to be a uniting factor for Cameroon has become a divisive a tool. They use it now to divide Cameroon. And if we continue like that, then that's the end for our football. So much. Look at the coming of the coach. Simply because the FA president was not in favor with the appointment of this coach, his followers have hated him. And whatever he does, they look at the other side of the coin. So the other day, he came up with the selection of his 26 players for our two upcoming World Cup qualifying games against Eswatini and Libya. And on social media, everybody who is like a supporter of the FA boss is let me say, I don't want to use the word insulting his list. Yes, analyzing his list is a good thing, but insulting is a bad thing. To them, every other player who is not a friend to Samuel Eto'o is a bad player. Every country in Africa would have loved to have an Andre Odana as their goalkeeper, except Cameroon, or except the supporters of the FA boss in Cameroon, who go on TV to watch Man United play and pray that Onana should concede the goal for them to use it as a campaign tool against him. Can you believe that? But that's just the truth. So we have touched the bottom. We have touched the bottom.
Right. With the World Cup qualifiers, you are leading. Cameroon are leading with 9 points, and you coming into the games against Eswatini and Libya. How prepared is the team, and what can you tell us with regards to, your quest to qualify for the World Cup before we wrap this conversation up?
Yeah, qualifying for the World Cup in Cameroon is not new. It's not new anymore. Since 1982, we have missed maybe just the 1986 edition and of course 2018 edition. The rest will have been there. So not qualifying for the World Cup to us cannot be accepted. It can't be accepted. A coach who doesn't qualify for the World Cup should be fired and fired immediately. The team for now, I think they are preparing, though they are still to get to camp. It's only after this weekend games in Europe that most of our players are going to come back to Cameroon to begin preparing for the Eswatini game. But there was a problem that I think and I wish should be solved this time around. Remember the last time Cameroon played, this time the AFCON qualifiers, still in South Africa and against Namibia. Now, the players had to group in Cameroon, train in Cameroon and go and play in South Africa. It was too tedious. Many would have expected the players to travel straight to South Africa from their various places and then maybe have a day or two to rest and then have enough time to train. Because they had to come to Cameroon and start looking for visas, it affected the team so much that we had just one day, or let me say half day, to train out there in South Africa. We did not even have a warm-up session before the match against Namibia because we arrived at night and we had to play the next day in the afternoon. So the players had just that night to rest and the next day play a game. So that was really bad. We just hope this time around the FA is going to do a better organization and see the players travel from their various locations straight to South Africa, train for a day or two, play against Eswatini, and come back to prepare for the match against Libya here in Cameroon. Because I don't think Cameroonians can reconcile a national team of this country not playing the World Cup. It's true we have some of the best players or some of the household names in Africa, Zambo Anguissa, Abubakar Vincent, but that's not enough. They need to really work together. The coach is also scouting for new talents. He's brought in 2 new players, one who formerly played for France, who has decided to come back, and of course Daniel Namaso, who plays for FC Porto, who played in the other age categories in England, and who has decided to come to Papa's country. They have been called up. And we just hope that they are going to be given enough time to expose or show us what they are capable of doing.
Simon, thank you. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And it's been very insightful this afternoon. We are grateful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And all the best to the listeners of Radio Asaase. And hope to meet them once again some other time.
Right, sure. We'll speak after the show. Thank you so much. So, that's Simon speaking to us all the way from Yaoundé in Cameroon. He's editor-in-chief, senior sports editor with Cameroon Radio, and giving us his perspective on Patrick Motsepe and what is happening with Cameroonian football under Samuel Eto'o and all of that. Ekow, let's get back to the Motsepe bid. You need to have your say. We have just about 15 minutes to be wrapping up this morning or this afternoon.
Breko, I think there's we just have to praise Motsepe. I believe that in my own perspective, having taken over from Ahmad, who didn't finish his first term, if I'm not mistaken, and you look at where he took
the scandalous,
that investigation and all that. I mean, you look at where he took office and the kind of things that he's tried to do when it comes to football, inter-club competition, and even AFCON.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that it is one of his biggest achievements. To be fair, you look at CAF competitions, women, and all the other stuff. It has been money. And I think that is a positive sign.
Concentrated on
getting the players and the coaches satisfied, and that is very key. And in Europe, when the Super League started emerging gradually,
he even mentioned a possible increase in prize money for the club and national teams. And talked about solutions for stadium upgrades and CAF licensing and all of that, and to boost the women and youth football.
So it clearly tells you that he has a plan. And I'm making a point about when the Super League started emerging. You saw how UEFA started shivering, and so what he has to do was try as much as possible to, give more money to the clubs, and I think that is what Motsepe has been doing. Look at the prize money of AFCON when he took over and where he has. Now the prize money. Now you look at the CAF Champions League, the CAF Confederations Cup. You look at the women's competitions and all that, and I think that he's done quite well, to be fair. And there is one thing that we also have to credit him with his more of like his interest in even ensuring that even other countries that are emerging in terms of football, he's willing to to help them to upgrade the game of football. And I listened to an audio when the Barbara Sports Stadium was banned, And I think you remember the then government and the sports minister, reports made that he flew all the way to Cairo to ensure that we play the game at the Babara Sports Stadium. And I think in one of their meetings, you saw some of the statement that he made when he was addressing, the pressmen and all that. And so it tells you that gradually he in his interest, I believe that he just wants to see progression of African football. If you listen to him carefully, if you listen to some of the things that he say, he wants African football to rub shoulders with the European, football. And I think that gradually we will get there. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, his mandate is going to, expire. Is definitely going to exit office. But I believe that he just wants to do something that even when he's not around, will still point fingers at and say, this was done by Motsepe. This was achieved by Motsepe. And so for me, his first term in office, brilliant. And I think that, the sky is the limit. And I believe that he has already promised that the AFCON in Morocco is going to be one of the best. Already we've seen some brilliant numbers during the AFCON in Ivory Coast, and I think that for me he's done well, and I think that for me the sky is the limit. And so far, I think that record he's been brilliant. He's done well.
And for Keto Kreku's elevation onto the CAF Executive Committee, joining that exclusive class of 6 Ghanaians who have served on that powerful committee, what does this do? Or what benefit does this have for us as Ghanaians and for maybe Wafu?
Well, I think it's great for us. As I'll begin from the Ghanaian perspective, because you saw, how the feeling of being a Ghanaian when Nyantechi was there. And I'll give you a story that Sandy Dara told me when they went for the CAF draw in Morocco. Anybody that he meets, the question is, what is happening to Ghana? Why is Ghana not here? Why is Ghana not here? And so clearly, the presence of, Ghana in anything CAF, it feels good, And for me, I think that for Mr. Kreku going there, it's a plus for us. Breko, you just have to overlook some of the things, even though he's not fed so well because Black Stars is not doing well. We've discussed already the chaos in the Ghana Premier League. The only thing that I believe it's a plus for him is the elevation of the women football, and Black Queens returning to the AFCON for the first time in 2018. And so for me, I think that for Mr. Kreku to get that slot, a big plus. And yesterday, if you listen to him, he acknowledged Nyantechi's advice and his kind words for him. And so for me, getting a Ghanaian in there, already we have some Ghanaians in there, like Emmanuel Dasuberi, and then we have Sanidara also in there. But to get a Ghanaian to represent on that decision-making body, the executive committee, which is huge, and I think that already his name has already emerged as a possible, vice president after Augustine, Seho resigned from his own. So, it's very good for us. I just hope and pray that they get that slot. But generally, Breko, I think that it's good for us as a Ghanaian. I think that also bit on the waffle. I believe that we need to, change some of the things in the waffle zones, because in other zones, some of the, you don't see other zones playing against their rivals, because they always want to be there to compete fearlessly. And so for me, I think that you just have to find a way, slight changes and all that to ensure that the big guys are, always in there, representing Waffle Zone B.
Right. We have a few more minutes to be wrapping up, but in the English Premier League, Everton will be playing West Ham. It's Ipswich against Nottingham Forest. City will play Brighton. Southampton will be at home to Wolves. And then Bournemouth will welcome Brentford. Okay, so, and then on Sunday, that's tomorrow, Arsenal, Chelsea, Fulham, Spurs, and then Leicester home to Man United. So those are the fixtures for the English Premier League. But there's the FA Cup, right?
Carabao.
The Carabao final between Newcastle and Liverpool. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. But for you, who wins?
I think obviously Liverpool wins, to be fair. But I think that
Liverpool win.
Liverpool are not going to get it easy. Yes, because Trent is out. I don't know of Konate, but having watched Liverpool, I mean, if they go into that game with that same mentality of trying to sit back and all that, I think it's going to be a very difficult game for them. But
there's a certain Isaac.
Yeah, I mean, who's on form. Yeah, and I think the Italian midfielder, Tonali, brilliant. I mean, those three guys, Jolinton, Tonali, and the Brazilian.
You can spell the party for Liverpool.
Yeah. But I think that for Liverpool, I think the only exceptional thing about Liverpool is that they have a very, very strong defense, and that is what caught them. I mean, on Wednesday when they played against PSG. I think that if you take Mo Salah out up front, they look toothless, But I think that they have a very good defense, and I believe that Newcastle have some very good players. Ishak is on form, like he said. Isak is on form. I mean, the likes of the guy who joined from Everton. Okay, he's unfortunately not playing. I mean, and all that. But I think that Newcastle have some very good players. But I think that at the end of the day, Liverpool are going to lift the trophy.
Okay, Liverpool tip to lift the trophy. We'll see how that one will go. Now, quick one on the UEFA set to discuss the rules around penalties with the game's lawmakers after Julian Alvarez's spot kick was disallowed in Atletico Madrid's Champions League exit. I mean, after Wednesday, UEFA said that despite the law being applied correctly in Madrid, which means they agree with the referee's decision in disallowing that goal, but it will review the current rules with IFAB and FIFA regarding cases where a double touch is clearly unintentional. Was the decision fair on Atletico?
I think it's harsh.
Did you see the action? Was there a touch?
To be fair, I've watched the video and I don't see where the touch is. I think it's so harsh. And I think in elite competitions, yes, I mean there should be always a fair play, but at the elite level, because of that, there are divided opinion everywhere. Whether the left leg whether touched the ball or not. But I think that you look at what UEFA also trying to do. I think during the Euros, you look at, I've forgotten the game, that particular game, but it was a goal scored, and I think in the review, the player, only the head touched the ball, and then it was flagged offside. So for me, I think UEFA are trying to make the game so artificial, which is not helping. I think that at the elite level, you need to give some room. You need to give room for some of the things, and I think that you look at the contact, it's not that huge,
very minimal,
very, very minimal. And so now Real Madrid they have progressed. Now Atletico exit. Now you go to the meeting and then you change the rule. Clearly, and that's why if you listen to Diego Simeone, he was raging, was angry because I think that it was too harsh. It was too, because at a point, to be fair, when I was watching the game, I think he scored, and then I've forgotten the other player's name. Rudiger picked up the ball, scored, and the Real Madrid players started dribbling. And I was like, "What's happening?" Because Atletico Madrid have not missed, and that was when I had to go and check. Then they said, Alvarez's goal was flagged. It's so unfortunate, very, very harsh. But I think that at the elite level, I believe that there should be room for these things, because that is what make the game exciting. Right.
Ekow, thank you so much for coming today in studio. We did one-on-one. It's very exciting. Thank you so much for coming. Subsequently, we'll have Yaw has been very busy.
Yeah, I can see that
today.
And I wanted to read something to you now. I think with regards to Accra Sports Stadium, so the sports minister has tasked the NSA, which now headed by Yaw, to get all those things. And apparently it's not only the floodlight.
Okay.
There are some other things that has to be fixed, and that is what I ask you. I don't know how it's going to be fixed within 48 hours.
Let's see what
big
can be
problem.
Let's see what can. I'll be speaking to you off air.
Sure.
And then we'll see where the issue will go. But thank you one more time. This morning you heard from Simon Lyonga from Cameroon. Ekow Amoasi joined me in the studio. William Sam and then Stephen Bedu, all from the Formula One or the motorsports in Ghana, joining us in the studio today. It's been wonderful coming your way. Let's do this again next Saturday. Team Talk. We'll be back. My name is Ekow Essilfie. The news is coming up after which At Sea with Diego takes over till 4 p.m. Have a super weekend.